Hello world, this is Shruti Pandey, and the guest I have today with me probably actually doesn't really need an introduction. He's one of the top six technologists in the world, the founding member of digitization of most companies, the names you would have heard of from Accenture to Infosys to SAP. Most of the brands that you hear, see, and look at the e-commerce digitization, right from Asian Paints, Shoppers Stop, Big Bazaar, including Disney, has been magnified, amplified, and beautified by him. So thank you so much, Sauvik Banerjjee. Thank you so much, sir, for giving me your time today. And I can't tell you what an immense honor and pleasure this is for me to host you on my podcast. Thank you so much.
No, Shruti, absolutely. Thank you for having me. And there's a lot more than those names. There's about 500 odd logos. And in the recent past, my more prominent ones are, of course, Jio, TataCLiQ,
Yes.
TataCLiQ Luxury, and Tata Digital. And of course, Tata Digital is one of the coolest, youngest babies called Tata New. So yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure and honor to do these across the world. And when I came back to India, it was just to get into the momentum of India's consumer internet story. That was one of the reasons to come back. And I wish your podcast well, and I wish your podcast grows very, very well adopted actually by the audience's viewers, because podcast is hard work, and I know a lot of my friends who are successful podcasters. It is a very hard work, and my best wishes are with you.
Thank you so much, sir. I mean, without disrespecting you or any other guest that I've had before, I had to like refurbish your introduction over and over again, because if I would have kept saying the names of all the brands, all the companies you have worked with and for, I would have exhausted the time to even record the answers from
No,
you.
that was very kind of you. A very nice
So
introduction.
thank
Very
you
kind.
so much. Thank you so much for bringing all of them up. And I have 10 questions created for you. And
Sure.
even creating those 10 questions was difficult for me. I'm pretty sure you would understand, given the fact that your journey, your history is so amazing. The work that you've done for more than 2 decades now for the betterment of India is, I mean, commendable is a very small adjective to even use. So, if you can do the honors, can we get into the questions, or would you like to use?
Sure, please.
Okay,
Let's start.
all right. So, my first question for you is, in case the world doesn't know, Sir has been had represented.
Would you just call me Shovik? Just call me Shovik. I don't like the word sir.
Sure.
People call me Shovik, or people call me Dada as an elder brother. So you can call me
I'll
either.
call you Dada. I think Dada is better.
Much better.
Okay.
Much better. That's what the Indian youngsters love me, and a lot of affection call me. I don't like the word sir.
Okay. So thank you so much, Dada. You have represented India. You were a part of the Bengal team playing the Ranji Trophy matches. So I want to understand a young boy in Calcutta who was playing cricket, Ranji Trophy, and was a student of a very deemed institution, St. Xaviers, there. How did you get into technology and coding? Like, what really happened there?
Yeah, I mean, this one is the longest answer you will get, but the rest will be short. I was a professional sportsman. I grew up in Kolkata, looking up to, when there wasn't any test cricketer coming out till, of course, in 1996, when I was about 20 years old, so sort of made his debut. And we grew up in a state where cricket was mad, uh, football was crazy. I mean, Bengal, as you know, are a sporting frenzy state. Literature, um, creativity thrives. And my parents were very simply middle class professionals, but my mom played a lot of professional sports. Was a cricket broadcaster. She was one of the first members of the Women's Ranji Trophy in Bengal, and she came from that, the Mukherjee lineage of Bengal. Whereas my father was a middle class professor who was a scientist, applied applied physics, quantum physics. So it was a beautiful combination of sports and education I grew up with. Very humble middle class background. And cricket seeped into my life at the age of 12, 13, then under 16 in Bengal, under 19 Bengal, then university, played university cricket. Then unofficially, there used to be under 19 teams, which used to be assembled. There wasn't used to be India A or under 19 that much in those days. So we used to huddle together, sometimes people like Kailash Khatani, sometimes people like Baldev Gosain used to huddle the best of under 19 cricketers and used to take us to places like Australia, England, West Indies to play unofficial matches. And yes, I was part of that. I went with Baldev Gosain with a bunch of young under 19 talented cricketers to England. And that whole club cricket in England was so fascinating. And the rule was you can have one overseas pro and one overseas amateur back in the day, and that still remains. So cricket was every day. Cricket became a priority for education because son of a professor, mom was also a very, very good student and an entrepreneur, very, very strong in maths. He was a kind of a maths wizard, having maths gold medal in those days.
Wow.
But that's how the balance was, sports and cricket back in the family. And cricket actually was 90% of my life. Good thing was being the son of a professor, having been part of school. South Point was a well-known school in Calcutta those days, still is.
Yes.
And Barry O'Brien was our deputy principal, and I grew him as a mentor, who was a great educationist. But Barry O'Brien, of course, was also a big cricket fanatic. So I became school captain. But education never left me. Neither the curiosity to do things never left me. So after playing Ranji Trophy for 2-3 years, not playing regularly, sometimes 12th man, sometimes carrying water and drinks, sometimes playing matches, and of course IPL wasn't there in those days. Wasn't any much money. More importantly, we used to get paid for Ranji Trophy 450, 500, 600 rupees a match. And then I played one game for Wills Trophy against Karnataka. We got 1,500 rupees. And that was, and for club cricket, we used to get about 15, 20, 30,000 rupees for the playing 6 months. So going to England gave us an opportunity to play professional club cricket and get some money. And of course, during this monsoon, it was always raining here. So England, of course, is summer. So to keep 24/7, 12 months throughout the year, you got to keep in touch. And that cut a long story now, a little short. Saturday, Sunday cricket led me to work with great tech guys who were playing cricket as a recreational sport. And one of them turned out to be a technology leader in British Petroleum. So he said, what are you doing? I said, I want to learn technology. I said, go and learn C++, C, Java, all of the languages. If you want to learn tech. So the next year, I came back and under an institute, I passed all my Sun Microsystems Java exams, and coding came naturally to me. For some reason, coding is logic.
Yeah.
And cricketers are logical individuals because cricket is an intelligent game. You're thinking all the time, strategies. So coding flair came naturally to me. I don't know why I became so good, and I fell in love with programming. And I still program, and I still love programming with my youngsters. And that fascination for code started growing. And then next year when I went back to England, Ian Fraser, who was the individual who said, why don't you go and learn? He said, why don't you look? And he took an assessment in northeast of England with a few senior programmers. And he said, this guy is good. Why don't you give him a contract? And they gave me a 1.5 years contract to work on British Petroleum. And my first assignment was in the North Sea oil rig, under the sea, about 550, 700 feet under the sea in an oil rig. I log into mainframes. I take the data and I create a reporting suite in C++ and under the sea. So I did that. Fascinating. Every morning, I used to get choppered out to the North Seas from Stonywood Dice in Aberdeenshire in northeast of Scotland, go to the North Sea, do my 40, 50-hour weeks, and then come back and play cricket on a Saturday, Sunday. And that's why fascination was, and it's a very organic, unheard of a start to a programmer's world. The people start their programming world with Infosys and TCS and Cognizant and Accentures, or the startup world today, or from IITs and many other non-IITs, they program, they learn, and they get a job. My world was very different. And then that fascination slowly asked me a question. Should I continue professional sports? And it's impossible to continue professional sports and work professionally as a young programmer when you're 22, 23 years old. And I took a plunge. I let my Cricket Association of Bengal know. Saurav was a very, very dear friend, as a elder brother of mine, as a mentor, as you've seen in the podcasts of Adobe, how close he is with me. And then I told him that I'm not going to pursue professional cricket. And he said, do whatever your heart says. But ensure you earn money, which was very, very important. Because he's very, very logical. He wanted somebody he cares for me. And my father and mother said, whatever you do, but ensure you have a good living. That's the story, really. And then I stayed back in England. And I was the second guy to get a work permit, from a cricketing work permit to a technology work permit. After, I think, if I'm not wrong, don't quote me on this, but I think after Zamshed Khan, the sports guy. And those days, to get a work permit was tough, but if you're genuinely talented, you would get one.
Wow. I'm pretty sure of all the, probability I was getting in my head, the fact that you come from a lineage where your father is a professor. I researched. I tried my best and researched thoroughly on you, as you would know. So I saw that you are the outcome of a professor and a sportswoman. And Calcutta, since my mother hails from Calcutta, I was like, okay, I understand Mohan Bagan and cricket and St. Xaviers and South Point. These are very, very deemed university. I mean, you've been to all established universities, but like St. Xaviers, Calcutta is still one of the best, like I've heard from my mother. And of all the stories I had thought in my head, because I didn't know this one, right? The actual original
Yeah,
story.
but let me tell you, I finished. I didn't complete because work had taken me over. I didn't complete. I didn't complete my EcoStats maths, and when I went back to England, and then completed it in distance. I completed my graduation and my masters, because my father was saying, you have to complete university. You got rolled on. You can't just drop out like that. And I said, I don't want to, but how? And then he convinced, and then I convinced the University of Calcutta, saying that I'm dropping off now, but I'll take a year to go and settle down, because I'm getting an opportunity to work, but I'll finish it in distance. And beauty of Calcutta University was they allowed me. University of St. Xaviers allowed me to finish my graduation, my masters, and I finished it. And I'm so glad I did it, because or else I wouldn't have been able to pursue my research.
Absolutely. So, what I see kids doing these days, you were already like 20 years ahead in time, because you were pursuing your hobby that led you to getting into coding. So surreal. Like,
Yeah.
I couldn't have thought of that, getting into coding kind of a thing. And dropping out off from a college, like these are the things which kids these days are thinking, right? Like dropping off, creating their own thing, coding, taking assignments, and you were already doing that. My goodness, you're like the torch bearer of this entire generation, really. And it's
Mind you, I did my
absolutely
first research I did my first research with University of Sunderland and University of Durham under Professor John McIntyre on artificial neural network models on natural language processing. 2000, nobody. I mean, AI was existing, semantic networks was existing. Nobody does all of these crazy things. But I think the student in me was more coming into his own than the sportsman in me. I mean, I'm a default sportsman. I still play a lot of sports, but the student in me, which had taken a backseat for very many years. By the way, I didn't compromise studies. It's just that I got 40%. I still got 60% in my boards, in my plus twos.
Right.
But I think the student in me was very, very strong, which had to overtake the sportsman in me. And there was an internal battle for very many years I fought with myself.
So I want to understand, continuing on the cricket portion of yours, you once replaced Saurav Ganguly, the Dada of Calcutta.
No, not Saurav Ganguly. Saurav Ganguly's brother.
Yeah, you
Snehasis
replaced
Ganguly.
Saurav Ganguly's brother. I mean, I was about to complete that. You replaced his brother on the cricket team. I mean, I just can't imagine how that would have felt for all of you, the three of
But
you.
you know what? Snehashi Ganguly, but first, I think that was the second comeback of mine. The first comeback of mine, I got an opportunity to be selected. When the first time I got selected, playing for your state, Ranji Trophy means the last level before you play for your country. So many states and everybody, Ranji Trophy, everybody plays. I mean, today when people are not getting their form, people like Hardik Pandya played Ranji Trophy when he was out. People like Virat Kohli desperately wants to play Ranji Trophy and correct his technique. And people, whoever wants to get back, and that is the bedrock of Indian cricket still, even though there is IPL. And
Yes.
getting a place in a Bengal squad where 5, 6 India stalwarts are there. I got selected to represent first time an individual who had played already for India called Sauvik Banerjjee in Australia and had got 3 wickets on his debut under Azhar's captainship.
Right.
And he was injured, and I got picked. But then I didn't play too many games. Then again, when next time I got picked, it was we call him lovingly Rajda. Rajda is his nickname. Snehashi Ganguly was going to play for India, but of course, injury. Then Sanjay Manjrekar made his debut. He had a prolific domestic career. I mean, and was always on the verge of playing for India. And to replace him was a true privilege. You're absolutely right.
I mean, these days you hear, various stories around cricket when somebody is replacing somebody. And here, these are no somebodies. Like you, sort of Ganguly took a stand for you and replaced his brother, and you got a chance. So, what episode, like this episode, this moment, did it teach you any
Nothing.
life?
He was injured. There is no nothing. There was nothing. I was always in the standbys. I was always in the top 18. So, but the 14-member team travels, and I think Rajda was injured that game against UP, and he said, and we needed somebody to be picked who was. I was doing well. I got a lot of runs, a lot of wickets, and I think the selectors said, let's get Sauvik in because he will add that all-rounder capability because I was a pure play full stack all-rounder, not a batsman all-rounder or a bowling all-rounder. I would in today's day and age, yeah, Hardik Pandya equivalent, but taller and bigger than Hardik Pandya in physical self. I'm 6'3.5". He's not 6'3.5".
Right. So your journey doesn't really stop here. It only gets started. The first company or product that you created, correct me if I'm pronouncing this wrong, Phydos. Google was,
Exactly right pronunciation.
yes, thank you. So Phydos was the first product or company which you started, and Google was the first to approach you. Again, these are the things, which kids these days want to
It's
do.
a very interesting story. Very interesting
Right.
story. What is Phydos? When Napster was evangelizing downloads, free music downloads, and the music labels were tearing their heads apart, me and a dear friend of mine who are both researchers in University of Sunderland and Durham, we created this online.com where you can buy mini discs, cassettes, LPs, um, also laser discs for music. But the music was, you can buy back catalog, and back catalog means 1906 Roy Orbison to non-Billboard, which is a chart buster happening today. Anything 2 years back is a back catalog music, right? So in Hindi parlance, let me put it this way. In Hindi parlance, 1906 till 2019 pre-COVID would be back catalog. And it was a challenging business to start with. But we coded it ourselves. Then we had a 5-member team. And then, of course, over the years, it grew so big, we had to sell it off. And I stepped out, but we sold it off to a large organization in US. I can't name the organization, but it is today the back catalog of the planet as equivalent to eBay. And then we made some money. And then we.
You guys made
No, I
very
can't
good
say that.
money.
No, I can't say that. But let me put it this way: for a 26-year-old, that was a lot of money. But the beauty was I had responsibilities and I wanted to build something again. So I launched my new company. As soon as I exited, I started my Dada company, which was focused on building a barcode scanner.
Again, I mean, the every layer that I was, digging into your life and your achievements. I was like, these are the things which Indians have started to get into this genre, right? Of should I drop off? Should I create a company? How do I make the exit? How do I raise money? What product I create? You were already doing that way ahead of your time, and you really are.
And the thing is, and the point is, zero angel investors, zero VCs, and profitable.
Google
Both of them
itself,
in those days.
right? Google itself coming to you is like one
Yeah,
crazy.
that was not me. That was not me. Actually, let me correct that. Google coming to
Oh,
University of Sunderland and Durham, because if you are incubated by universities, like in today's day and age, and Google wasn't Google that. And Google wasn't Google then. They didn't have anything. I mean, what Google of today is and what Google of 2000 was, hell and heaven difference. But yes, they did come, and they did come, and they did want to work with us, incubate us. But we were very studious university loyalists. So,
wow.
and they do that all the time. Google has a fantastic culture of going to universities, giving fabulous complex projects, and they still do it today.
Right.
But and in those days, we were just happy that our work was getting recognized. That's it.
So while you were juggling many acts from your, degree at a college to taking a break, coding, cricket, and like everything really, how did you juggle and manage to get a PhD in NLP in the same time? Or am I
Because I was no, because so all of that is science, all of that is synchronous. Actually, it's not a PhD; it's a research doctorate. There are three types of PhDs, actually five, including MPhil is treated as a PhD. It was a research doctorate, extensive research. I might as well say. Um, that's why I never used the word professor, because I never used my work going forward. Then I become a .com guy, which has got nothing to do with my research. My father said, if you're not going to do and continue your research in applied life, it's going. And titles didn't matter to me anyway, because I was playing cricket, I was building a company, selling the company, making money, research. I genuinely wanted to do everything and enjoying life as a 25, 26-year-old. Nobody thinks so much at the age of 25, 26. And so the research started from Professor John McIntyre. I mean, and he was the one the university was funding this company. And he said, there's an opportunity for you to learn NLP. I said, what the hell is NLP?
right?
And then he taught me the bare bones of ANN and taught me the bare bones of multitude of what today's time series and what today's multi-arm bandit algorithms. Those days we were doing it. And my NLP was very interesting because my research on NLP was cross-language. So a familial pair of languages, like what is the familial pair of languages between Portuguese and Spanish? And my idea was that if somebody puts a search in any of the search engines, you don't get a translation, but you get a genuine transliteration. What you see happening in today's research, and I think there was 1,000, 2,000 folks who were working on transliteration. And today's NLP's backbone is transliteration, whether it's voice to text, whether it's voice to voice, whether it's speech to text, whether it's speech to voice. And that's so heartening to see. So that's how I got involved. John McIntyre, oh, by the way, he was a cricketer. So we bonded well. He was my director of studies. And then he kind of took me under my wing. And then Professor William Red Whittaker, who is the inventor of Google's self-driving car. He was a farmer and he got involved. And then I did some research with him, many Professor Michael Oakes, Siobhan Devlin. Oh, I learned so much because I used to go, because as a curious individual, you go and learn. Because if my palette is empty, it's easier to learn. I didn't have an agenda that I have to get a research done in an NLP. It's just, I wanted to learn newer things ahead of time things. And if you're in a research ecosystem in the northeast of England, where Durham is a university town, Newcastle, Sunderland's are university towns, and playing cricket, earning money as a research associate, settling down in England, researching at the same time, building Phydos. Again, university helped in incubating us, gave us an office, phone, internet, and all of that.
Right.
And it was very organic. Nothing was thought through. Nothing was planned.
Doesn't look like, when as a third person, when I look at your journey, it looks like, oh my God, this man knew it all. He knew what he wanted from life, and it looked
No,
structured.
complete fluke. complete fluke. All one thing I knew, I wanted to be part of an industry where internet is the backbone. One thing I was 1000% sure compared to my friends, family, my peers. I said, I have to work in the internet industry. And I've never wavered off. So from that day, from Phydos actually was the germination. Till today, I have never worked in banking, retail, manufacturing, healthcare, education, tech, or I have never worked in deep space. But if you ask me, Sauvik, Dada, what have you become a subject matter of? Every industry in the world, I've built a .com for them,
Yes.
or an app business for them,
Yes.
or an app presence or a .com presence for them, not a website. So that is more of a horizontal learning I have had. And my wife used to say to me when she got married to me in 2005 January, you do build websites. What is this e-commerce industry? She used to say. And my one of my mentors is my father-in-law, who's a healthcare giant. Um, and my wife, and it's a very difficult question. I mean, it was funny, a very difficult question. How do you justify everybody's a banker, somebody is in the IT industry, today's tech industry, somebody is a doctor, engineer. And if say that, I built .coms in 2000 to 2005, people would laugh at you. Not even broadband had penetrated across the world, forget India or UK. And I was building e-commerce websites. And I was like, people would say to me, what the hell are you wasting your life for? Either go back, play cricket, or do research and do something serious. But see, today we can't live without the internet and the internet, the life around it.
Sometimes when I was researching your life, I was thinking you made the best use of economics. Is basically commerce is how I look at it. You made
Dhanda comes to me naturally.
you
Tech comes to me naturally. I married them together and built my career.
and that's it. Exactly what you did. You digitize commerce really. So I want to understand.
You want to get some? Do you want to drink some water?
Sorry, I think.
You want to drink some water?
No, I'm fine. I'm fine. So I want to understand from you, sir. Do you think becoming a British national really help your talents in any ways? Because rightly mentioned, it could be a smallest thing like having a broadband or internet at home. So do you think that move to England or just becoming a British national really helped your talents get you more?
I settled down in England for two things. My father and mother had, my mother was, when my sister was born, to cut a long story short,
Sure.
she came from, she survived two near-death experiences, chronically ill, a young woman. And
So
as a middle-class father, having my mother 3 years in hospital, of course, a professor had incurred a lot of debt, right? And debt and interest grew. And I, as a young boy, realized that I have to support my parents. And I can't support my parents living in India, getting a sports quota naukri, which will pay me 5,000 to 10,000 rupees a month. I have to do something significantly humongous to clear up the debt before and give them a decent life, because I'm just an output of their efforts. That actually was the motivation behind staying back in England and earn money purely and use the currency conversion. But what happened was I fell in love with the world. I fell in love with certain value systems, certain teachings. But the Indian in me was so strong, I learned the best out. I'm a very selfish individual and I always extract best out of my teachers, mentors, my colleagues, peers. I'm a very good learner. And I use United Kingdom and ensure they get value out of my work and I get value out of a country which is not mine. But today, the world is so small, it doesn't matter today you are a British national or an Indian, because you are crossing territories thanks to internet, just sitting at the, look at COVID. If COVID wasn't there, how would the world come together? How would research happen? So a lot of learnings in England. Fundamental motivation was get a life where I can earn and support my family. And because I had been a different sort of an Indian who had studied, middle class background, Calcutta, a professional sportsman, So my outlook was very large. I had a very progressive outlook, and that's why I am a very giddy optimist. I said that I'll go and I'll take risks in life, and if this pays off fine, or else I'll grind it out. And because life is never going to be easy for anyone, wherever you are. So in that way, a lot of learnings. But staying back in England, again, very organic, never decided prior.
I want to apologize to you, sir, because I think judgment comes very, very naturally to humans, right? And having heard a couple of stories from different founders, they had the access to internet. So somehow I was assuming that you also had internet, maybe a professor father and a sportswoman and an entrepreneur mother. Maybe you had something in your family which, propelled you. So I genuinely, you didn't know that I was
no, but it's true. But I'll tell you what there was no internet in India in 2000.
Yeah.
There were only dial-ups.
Exactly.
There was only dial-ups between 96, 95 to 2000. And you can't do too much with dial-ups because it's costly. You need a phone, you need a computer, and not many people can afford it. And we had one, but I was hardly in India. I was playing 6 months in England and then 6 months in India. And I was still playing professional sports. So the move, these transition years, I just wanted to do whatever came. I just wanted to do newer things. I just wanted to just stand up as soon as possible and earn a lot of money. And sometimes I didn't, sometimes I did. But if you know a sportsman, they win every day, they lose every day. If your DNA is 15 years of professional sports, you're taught to win every day and taught to lose every day without flinching an eye. If I took that attitude, think of it. I grew up from the age of 10 and I gave up and I moved to England 25, 26, 24, 25, 26, those transition years. But the attitude of a sportsman helped me because I used to think, what will happen? I might not be able to do it. That's the worst thing. That's fine, I'll do something else because you are trained in your mind in such a beautiful way as a sportsman. Just today is the challenge with the kids is they're not trained how to lose and accept loss. It happens. They're shattered. It's venting out in social media. It's anger and losing and winning are as equal as you will win 10 times back to back. But then again, you will lose 20 times back to back. Look at sports. Neeraj Chopra yesterday won. They couldn't even compete for the Commonwealth Games. He was injured. He came out. That's a loss in his book. And then he creates a record yesterday. So sportsman, it's normal. We don't apply these things in professional corporate life and tech life and startup life. If you use this philosophy, life would be far simpler.
Is it the sports person in you which is more dominant than the student? Because does sports make you a person like this? I just genuinely want to understand.
I think so. Never give up, never be phased, be resilient, be self-motivated, and learn fast when you fail and apply the learning so that you don't repeat the same mistakes. I don't have an MBA, Shruti, by the way. My MBA is my cricket. Because my MBA is cricket. It taught me stakeholder management.
Yes.
It taught me man management. It taught me leadership skills. It taught me oratorship, articulation skills. Because cricket is an intelligent game. It taught me to think. It taught me to be a strategy consultant. It's a great marketing tool. Cricket teaches you to be a great marketeer. Teaches you how to manage politics. Allows you to manage stakeholders and ego management. Yeah. So I think cricket has given me what no MBA could have given.
Absolutely. And I want to, dwell a little on this point because you are a master orator. You have given your TED talk and the thematics of it was intelligent people, not machines, would take over. But like you were very, very like 2-3 seconds before mentioning about, kids venting on social media and things happening, like these so addicted to various form of reels, content, and I don't know what not that we have. How do you think with the excessive consumption of content, are there many intelligent people left and what will happen?
No, but fantastic question. Fabulous question. See, there are people in the world who switch off every day, a few hours. what's happening is if you watch Insta Reels, YouTube Short, TikTok, across the world, TikTok is very big. India, it's bad. If you watch continuously Facebook Reels, and continuously, if you're watching someone, you're downloading someone else's creativity. If you see my talks, not a single topic or not a single sentence is copied from somewhere. And if you remember, I don't know, when you were young or your generation was young, when you read a book, you used to paint a picture in imagination.
Yes.
And the imagination of a human mind is the reason the planet exists today. The reason why Michio Kaku can think of a 2050 of where the world is heading, because he doesn't care what YouTube tells him. He is a man of his own vision. If Elon Musk would have downloaded and watched Insta Reels, he wouldn't have been able to build Falcon 9,
Right.
being a banker. Being a banker and a guy who exited as a PayPal founder after making money and has not only built Falcon 9, but Gigafactory, Hyperloop, Tesla. It just goes, the Boring Company. Look at the guy and look at Tata's. How many CEOs and leaders of Tata's or Bill Gates or Microsoft or Gary Vee or Steve Jobs or Tim Cook, who are running trillion-dollar companies and the people working with them, do you think they spend 16 hours watching Insta Reels and YouTube Short and Facebook? The answer is absolutely no. Your brain will implode. You will get confused if you're continuously on social media. And watching what?
Yeah.
You're not watching TED. You're not reading a book on the net. You're watching stupid, idiotic people doing idiotic things, and that's the reason why bad content sometimes works, is Big Brother. People watching all day long, and that's exactly what the reels are. But you know what will happen? This is just a wave. Internet will bring back the ability to imagine your own and deliver your own thing. In a way, Insta, YouTube Shorts, and all of these social media reels of YouTubers are trying to do, a lot of them are trying to give you good content, but build your own content. You have the imagination, the same one which the other YouTuber has. Do your own things. You are doing it. You took the plunge and you started your podcast, right? You're different than at least 10 million kids, which we see. And I'm so proud. You know, the reason I want to do this interview with you, because you took that plunge in, and at this age, you are creating your own content. I wish there were a million Shrutis like you in the country, in the world, 10 million, because you're creating your own thing. You're not copying something or continuously not downloading OTT and video content. It's someone else's imagination you're downloading. There's only one directional. There is nothing getting uploaded. There's only things are getting downloaded. You can't lead a life of only downloads. You have to lead a life of uploads as well.
Right. Right. And here I'll take a pause and we'll do a part 2 of the session. Thank you.